Ta-da. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Anime-Zing Radio. Our normal host, Doug, is not here tonight, so you get me, Angela Rose, and I'm joined by Darren Starling.
Please bear with us for the next 2 hours. We'll try not to bore you.
So that being said, given that given that it was kind of a last minute heads up that Doug wasn't going to be joining us, we didn't actually prepare a show. So
Which,
hi Ross, you're gonna get nonsense rambling. Uh,
and honestly, that turned out to be some of our better shows.
Also fair. Mario, hello. Uh, so I posed the question to the chat: have any of you seen the new Studio Ghibli movie, The Boy and the Heron?
I haven't.
Because
But then again, my reputation with Ghibli is non-existent. I'm ashamed to admit that, but it's true.
Ross says he's not interested, and that's fair. Uh, I happen to love Studio Ghibli, love Miyazaki, and when I found out that this movie was releasing right around my birthday, my husband for my birthday took me out to see it the other night, and it was excellent. If you like, thank you, John. If you like Studio Ghibli, this movie's fantastic. If for those, if you're not familiar, if you're not a fan of Ghibli, then it's not necessarily going to be your thing. Hi, John, and thank you. But for a as spoiler free review as possible, it was really, really well done. The art was gorgeous, what you'd expect from Studio Ghibli, and also in various scenes, there's always in almost every Miyazaki movie, there's scenes with food, and the food looks so real you just want to eat it, like right off the screen. And this was no different.
Yeah.
And subsequently in the background we've got a video playing of food from various Ghibli movies.
How fitting.
Exactly. Because it looks just so real and so good. But as you have not seen much in the way of Ghibli, the real question is what shows outside of Food Wars, because that's the obvious, like what show that is it where that's not necessarily the primary focus, would you say has the best looking food that you'd want to just eat off the screen?
Surprisingly enough, Pokemon had some really good ones. Um, I know they recreated Brock's stew that he used to make. I know they did I think they did not was it it wasn't the Castilia cone, it was the pop poppin? No. This is Gen 5. This is XY. Uh they weren't poppins, they were oh Lord, why can't I remember the name of this stuff? I played the games for. Oh wait, because I was never a contest or a performer.
I was gonna say you can't remember because of course we're live.
Yep, and also the fact that I was a battler more than taking the time to do the side quest for the ribbons and the whatnot. Yeah,
Ross, to answer Ross's question, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I've seen a fair amount of Studio Ghibli movies. Um, Spirited Away, I've seen more. I've seen Spirited Away is actually one of my favorites. I've seen that one multiple times. Um,
Mm, my friend, the one he always hyped about was Princess Mononoke, I believe.
Mononoke, I've only seen the first. Mononoke, I have only seen the first half of. Because I borrowed a friend's DVD and the DVD player I was using. Longest run time. I don't know. You know what? Let's look that up.
I kind of figured, Doug. Way to crash our chat. And who are you calling a kid?
Well, he's calling both of us kids. Um, to answer Ross's question, the longest running Ghibli movie is the Tale of the Princess Kaguya. Kaguya, one I have not seen, and the runtime is at is 2 hours and 17 minutes.
Hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is that Ponyo playing in the background?
Entirely possible. It's a random it's a YouTube video from Assorted Ones, so that clip might have been.
The only reason I ask is that, I actually remember the TV commercials being broadcast on regular TV for that movie, not realizing it was you know,
Yep, yep. And the boy and the heron was just over 2 hour runtime. Watching this corner of the world, it's the longest movie ever. Uh,
3 hours.
oh yeah, no. I remember. I remember seeing. I remember when Titanic was released, and that was a big deal because it was like the longest movie in theaters to date at that point. And John Knight is pointing out in the chat that today is Kaylee Mill's birthday. Yay, more December birthdays. Happy birthday. And she's the voice of she did the voice of Alice in the Alicization arc of Sword Art and Amelia in ReZero.
Hmm.
And you and I agree on that Alice was the best arc of Sword Art.
Yep. Best art, best girl, best everything.
I don't know if Alice was best girl. That's a toss up, but I will agree best. I will agree best story arc.
Sorry, I like, as much as I hate to say it, I liked Alice more than Asuna.
That's fair.
And
The
and look, Sinon is my other favorite, so
I will 100% agree that the damsel in distress arc early on ruined, uh, like, basically ruined
ruined
us.
Sword Art's image. Between that and skipping a lot of the fight scene, the boss battles, I'd say had a lot to do with it. But it recovered fairly decently.
I agree. And, controversy. I actually enjoyed Gun Gale. There were a lot of people that didn't.
Silica, really, Ross?
You know,
I mean, she's not bad, don't get me wrong, but
Silica's not bad, but I don't know about Best Girl. And let's be honest, they all like the entire group of them except maybe I do not remember which one, but the whole lot of them actually deserve a little more screen time.
I
Like
agree.
you could do an episode or two of literally just everybody that's not Kirito or Asuna.
There you go. Mm, Yu-Gi-Oh! I almost wouldn't have minded seeing a story arc with just him, but I'm not gonna lie, his relationship with Kirito almost got a little creepy at times, but eh.
That's where we get into Japan. And also according to John in the chat, today is apparently also McLauer's birthday, voice of Great Dog Demon in Yashahime, Aba- Abachio in JoJo, Golden Wind and Dampa, Balto, and Gabriel's dad in Sword Art Alice.
Hmm.
Well, all right. But yeah, I figure I will actually post to the chat. Uh, what's the best like outside of Food Wars? Because this is something we haven't really touched on. What is what is some of the best anime food?
Hmm.
And Ross, we could derail ourselves. Ross, we could derail ourselves just fine.
As far as best food, let's see. I'm trying to remember what all has been done outside of Food Wars, because let's be honest, that's where the bulk of it is.
Yeah, but like one of the YouTube channels I follow, are you familiar with Babish Culinary Universe?
Nope.
Uh, one of the segments on there is called Anime with Alvin, and he does again anime and video game food. And
Mm.
he's done some he did something from Dragon Ball. I want to say One Piece, but I might be mistaken on that. Again, different food dishes from different shows. Why am I trying to do that on my phone? I have my computer and my computer actually works.
It does? Write that down.
My computer is like less than 6 months old. It better work.
You're talking to the guy whose phone don't work after 2 months.
Also fair. Haha, come on.
Uh, the I think I know what show you're talking about, Ross, but I don't think I ever watched it.
Look up the food scene of Istudate My Santa.
I think the English title is "Ah My Santa."
I don't know. I've never heard of this show. I forgot. On Anime with Alvin, they did Denji's toast from Chainsaw Man. I forgot about that one
Oh Lord.
because
On that note, there's multiple different anime characters that have bread and jelly hanging from their mouth running down the street. That's been the trope for how many years?
too many. And then and then you get the things like classic things like what was the anime where like Yuri on Ice, where like every other episode featured katsudon because pork cutlet bowl was the main character's favorite dish.
Huh.
And John in the chat finished decorating the house. Finished decorating their house for the holidays. That's awesome. We haven't put up anything yet, but as a December birthday, that's kind of a thing where I don't put up any holiday stuff before my birthday.
I haven't done anything. I haven't even put a wreath on the door. That's terrible.
Like we were good. Like yesterday, we went to my in-laws and all of us we did a tree decorating and then out to dinner. Uh, and Ross says Princess Reconnect Full Dive had good food, right?
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Prince Pecorine always. I mean, hell, they were called the Gourmet Guild for a reason. I mean, since she had to eat so much, of course, she'd try to make it as delicious as possible.
And then you've got what's his name from One Piece.
Luffy.
No, not Luffy. The cook,
Oh, Sanji.
Sanji. There we go. And
You know,
I
I don't even watch One Piece, and somehow I knew that.
And I don't know about the anime itself, but in the live action, the scenes in the restaurant, that food looked amazing.
I just remembered something.
What?
It's an episode of One Piece that's kind of like lost to the like very few people are aware of its existence. Have
Oh,
you seen the episode of One Piece where they crossed One Piece, Dragon Ball, and Toriko all into one show?
no, I've only ever seen the live action One Piece.
Well, they took Goku, Luffy, and Toriko, and they did a whole tournament with all three of them competing for food. And they're all big eaters. So you can imagine that
Oh,
one.
oh yeah. And Ross says, "Oh yeah, outside of anime, let us not forget the feeding the bunnies pancake scene in Wreck-It Ralph 2."
I didn't watch Wreck It Ralph too.
I didn't either, but if we're gonna go into animated movies, if we're gonna go into like Disney Pixar movies, the the scene in Beauty and the Beast where they set up all the food as they're singing Be Our Guest was a classic.
Hmm.
But that's me being old school.
Hmm.
Yep. But as far as anime, I am just so far behind. I am so far behind.
Hmm. And to be honest, even though I've seen a lot of food come across in anime, the only time I guess I've really paid close attention to it was in Food Wars because that's what the anime was centered around. Very rarely have I ever seen an anime where I see something so good I wish I could try it in person. Or if I
Yeah,
do, it's not a lasting memory.
that is very fair. I will say one of the things from Japan, they do a lot of they do a lot of uh like uh cafes and restaurants that focus on like a particular show or video game.
Hmm.
Like when we went to the Square Enix one. However, at the time there was so little there was it was not set up for Final Fantasy because it was in between Final Fantasy games and one of the Nier games had just dropped, so it was all themed from Nier. One of my friends went more recently to Japan and did like uh, a cafe for Sailor Moon where everything was themed from that.
You know, not directly referencing the food, but did you see? Didn't I send y'all a video about a new type of restaurant in Japan? That's a spin on some of the ones we have in the U.S.
Entirely likely.
Basically, you've heard of the one or two restaurants in the U.S. where you go to be treated horribly by everybody in the restaurant, right?
Dick's Last Resort, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Japan did the same thing, and given their mannerisms,
Oh
it was an
lord.
interesting. It was an interesting experience. Now, do they take it as far as Dick's? No,
It's
but
Japan, I wouldn't expect that.
they do, of course, go above and beyond the if you watch the video, the waitresses will basically plop themselves in a chair right in front of you and half listen to your order. They'll talk about you behind your back. They'll do all kinds of crap. And then they say it's more entertaining for the Japanese guests than anything else because it's so out of character for them.
Uh
And they
and
said the food actually isn't terrible.
that's something. And Raw saying, "Let's not forget that Netflix announced they're going to open a cafe."
A Netflix cafe. Y'all
I am
better have some good stuff on.
I am skeptical of this.
I like I kind of like the things. We have a restaurant here. I'm pretty sure it's still open, where you go to the theater and instead of having your typical popcorn and snacks and whatnot, they have like a full menu that you can order from. And in the theater, it's called I think Raleighwood Cafe or Bar and Grill. No, Raleighwood Cinema, I believe, and they have a full list of restaurant items you can order while watching your movie versus your typical snacks during the movie.
We have a couple of places like that.
Unfortunately, we don't.
Uh,
We have very few.
in a expensive part of Boston, the Alamo Draft House recently opened.
Oh, I've heard about that place. My one of my customers who's in the army has kind of been around all over the states. Said that if I go anywhere, I need to go there because it's an anime themed um It's an anime tailored draft house.
I don't know about that, but
The one he's been to, or that, or they had a specific night for it. But he said that
that makes way
it,
more sense than if it was a specific theme night or something.
I don't remember. It's been a while since we discussed it, but he definitely told me that I need to go there at some point.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a very big chain in Texas, cause very big chain in Texas. They opened one in Seaport, and I went with friends, and it was definitely an experience, and oh, yeah. In our speaking of live action stuff, um, 4 days until the live action Yu Yu Hakusho drops. That, like, kinda slid in under the radar with, like, 0 mention.
You know what's funny? One of my employees came in today, and his sweatshirt was actually Yu Yu Hakusho.
Interesting. So, live action Yu Yu Hakusho, do we think it's gonna be good? Do we think it's gonna be bad? Do we think it's gonna be
Hmm. Mid.
'Cause I don't think anything is I don't know if any live action is going to actually be as good as One Piece at this point.
Or how about, well, I was gonna say, I don't think any. Of course, no live action will ever compare to the original source material, but at the same time, it's like you can only take what you got to take what you can get.
Yeah. And Ross in the chat, because Doug is not here tonight, I will say that Discord, I will say that his favorite anime that has some good looking food outside of Food Wars and Ghibli is Restaurant in Another World.
Yeah, I've heard him say that multiple times.
Same.
Well, at least, oh, and just in case you didn't know, I am watching our favorite show regarding bacon, and that would be Heat the Pig Liver. It's actually been better than what I was expecting.
Good to know.
But they pulled the typical let's make it isekai, what the hell, what's the worst that could happen, and they're actually doing an okay job with it.
And I
I'm
feel
still significantly behind, so I can't vouch for the past 4 episodes or so.
and I feel like that's the problem is there's so isekai specifically, I feel like there's so many in any given season that so few end up being better than okay. Maybe that's just my not liking most isekai to begin with, but
Yeah.
but with so much, but with so much, how much is how much is like
Too
actually top tier?
much. You
Uh,
never know.
Ross in the chat. God damn it, Discord, go away. Hot take: raining down the hammer. I'm
I'm
glad
glad
girl in her
Girl and
guard.
Her Guard Dog will be over this week. I didn't like it.
Ross, I'm 2 episodes behind. I'm not caught up. I thought it was cute. Definitely nothing like definitely not the greatest thing ever.
Oh. Oh, let's see. There was someone last night with a opinion that was gonna make you go to war with them, or it got brought to my attention last night that someone messaged Doug about this.
What?
Okay, which one of y'all was talking about Skip and Loafer the other day? I think it
The
was last show, maybe. I don't remember.
I've brought it up on more than one occasion because I watched it and I loved it, and I've been trying to get all of you to watch it.
Yes, but there was someone that said they dropped it because they saying it was one of the worst shows from last season. I'm trying to remember who it was.
Did they say why?
Nope. Um, I think Ross was it. It wasn't you, Ross, because I think you were the one trying to get us to watch it. Who was it?
Because if because depending on what their argument is, I will actually potentially agree. I really enjoyed I really enjoyed that show, but if someone really didn't, I can totally see it. And
Oh,
Ross, when I'm caught up with Girl and Her Guard Dog, we can chat about that because I'm actually enjoying it. Like I said, there's definitely better shows, and right now where I'm at is a very interesting dynamic. Because, like I said, we only watched up to episode 8, and I know episode 10 dropped a couple days ago.
oh, do you have my anime list pulled up right now, Ange?
I don't, but give me a second.
Because I'm curious. Because obviously, Full Metal took its spot back, and as a result, where is Free Rin now?
Uh, oh, on top anime. I have my anime list open now. What am I looking at? Uh, Free Rin is number 1. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is number 2. Steins Gate is number 3.
Wait, so Free Rin took it back over?
Yep.
Wow. Well, Steins Gate deserves its spot. That's all I gotta say.
Is what?
I said Steins Gate deserves its spot. That's
Yeah,
all I
no.
have to say.
Free Rin has a score of 9.13, Brotherhood 9.09, Steins Gate 9.07, and so on and so forth. Uh,
Oh, and I was right. It was
rounding
someone.
rounding out the to round out the top 5, Gintama
I can
from
see that.
one of the seasons of Gintama has a 9.06, and number 5, Attack on Titan season 3 part 2
Hmm.
has a 9.05. You know what? I can see season 3 of Attack on Titan was fantastic. Although, if I'm being honest, everything but the final season of Attack on Titan was great.
Isn't that normally how it goes? The finales. Why is it that recently, especially, finales seem to be kind of a drag? Like, very few shows seem to end on, like, a good conclusion anymore.
Oh, Ross is answering some of your comments. First of all, Darren, I finished the series, and I said one of the anime I disliked of 2023 because there was romance genre in the show, but there was no romance and it felt a little dry.
I think that's in response to Skip and Loafer.
It might be. And John Knight says they're getting close to finishing the dub of Doctor Stone season 3, part 2.
I feel
Well,
bad. I never started season 3.
while we're on the topic of dubs, the final episode of Attack on Titan. I'm not even going to get into trying to do the naming convention correctly because the heck with that. Is airing. The English dub is airing in January.
Hmm.
I was curious if it had already dropped. And yes, Ross confirms it was him it was in response to Skip and Loafer, and he was the one who said it last night. What happened last night?
Mm, we popped up for like 2 minutes and someone actually paid attention.
Did you guys do a show last night?
Oh, we didn't tell you?
No, what's going on?
Mm, well, we had this coming. Duggo messaged me like 5 minutes before setting up a show that he ordered some stuff during Black Friday from Crunchyroll.
Ah,
And he said he literally got the package like 20 minutes before he messaged me.
so you guys did a show last night doing an unboxing.
Yes, but the difference was he knew what he was ordering versus it wasn't a mystery box this time.
And I did not get any kind of message whatsoever from Doug, so I had no idea you guys even did a show last night.
Well, it was at like 8:30 ish, 8:20, 8:30, and it went for like 30 minutes.
And Mario says, so that explains it. Uh, I had no idea, and the funny thing is, if you guys had messaged me, I actually probably could have jumped on.
Really. He said the main reason he didn't message you is because 9 times out of 10 you are preoccupied on Saturday nights.
Yup, 99% of the time. Last night was the one time I would have been able to probably jump on because that's about the time we got home.
Oh, wow. Doug, we screwed up. Oh, well. He knew he wasn't going to be on tonight, and he was so excited that he got his hands on him. So
And see,
he was like, "Screw it, let's show him off."
I did not know he wasn't going to be on the air until he messaged the group chat like an hour ago.
Wow, you were out of the loop.
Yep, he left me completely out of the loop, and either that or it was a message from Monday, or that we talked Monday, and I've long since forgotten. Uh, Ross says Doug got one of the horse girls from Pretty Derby new season, and I think it's a Rem figure? Question mark.
Nope, nope. They were both from Pretty Derby. They were the two main characters from season 3, Setsuno Diamond and oh, why am I blanking on our main character's name? Uh,
But no, but you know,
and
I
they
got
were
left out of the loop.
actually and they were actually pretty good. They were actually pretty good quality. Kita-san Black. There we go.
But yeah, no, I didn't know that he wasn't going to be here tonight, and if you guys had done a show last week, I probably would have done because I wasn't prepared for this, probably would have done a no show tonight.
To be fair, he messaged me last minute last week to cancel the show. So
Yeah, no, and I got home from PAX around the time show would have started, and I was exhausted.
yep, he was exhausted. You were exhausted and also on the road. And meanwhile, I was also kind of tired myself. So it all worked out.
Yep, a week off to sleep.
Yeah, something we've forgotten what it felt like.
Yep.
Well, come Christmas time, you're gonna have a little bit more time. I hope. Hope you're getting some kind of break.
Uh yeah, no, Christmas I'm probably I got one somebody bought me a stream deck for my birthday slash Christmas, so I'm going to be spending my time playing with that.
Hmm, have fun.
That is the plan, and in theory, that means I'll be able to do more unique and different things. Speaking of one of our favorite shows, Spy Family Season 1 Part 2 Blu-ray will release on February 13th, 2024. And uh, the Spy Family movie is getting released in Japan in January. But when that hits the States, who knows? My anime list. Please cooperate. Haha. Oh no, it's apparently I'm sorry. According to my anime list, it's going to release in Japan in December 22nd of this year.
Okay.
However, when that's going to reach the states, who knows? And why does my anime list only list the Japanese voice actors and not the English ones?
For which one?
Spy Family.
I wonder if it's because is this for this season or last season?
Oh, it's for the movie. That's why.
That's probably because there hasn't been a recording for it yet, so they don't know who all would be in the English dub version of it. Meanwhile, they already had the voices cast in the Japanese one, I presume.
Yup, because we've got. Yup, because even for season 2, we've got both Megan Shipman and Bryn April listed for Anya for the English.
For the English is who?
Uh, Anya, Spy Family.
Sorry. All I heard was English, and I'm like, wait a second. I know you just had more behind that sentence, and I'm like, hey,
And okay. So if you go to my anime list and you look up Spy Family season 2 and you go to the characters and voice actors, it lists Japanese, English, Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, and French.
yay, we're dubbing a whole bunch of different languages now.
And Portuguese, it uh, looks like Brazilian Portuguese for what that is worth.
Hmm.
Okay. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. Uh, and Darren Ross wants to know how behind you are on 100 Girlfriends.
I'm not, minus today's episode. Uh, best girl, one of the best girls has already been introduced, so it's gonna be interesting to see who all else becomes a part of his harem, because he's literally putting all the other harem kings to shame.
Ross says best girl showed up today.
Hmm. I'm not into milk stuff.
Oh, God. Did you watch when I know you occasionally keep up with Trash Taste and those guys. Did you see the
Nope,
uh when Joey did Man versus Weeb?
nope.
That was rather amusing because it is a known fact that Connor likes MILFs and didn't know that was a term.
Hmm.
And then or didn't realize right away that was a term, and it was just funny watching them go over that because trivia, silly trivia.
Hmm.
And Ross says, but she's not technically one because she illegally became one. Wait, how does that work? Ross, how does that work? And what was that beeping? Oh, I might. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I think my mouse and keyboard froze for a bit, so I don't know what the last thing. Ross says she technically not a MILF because she illegally became one. How does that work? Oh, and how? Okay, Ross, I get that part, but how is that not legal? Or I suppose that gets into age of consent. But why? Just why? I don't know. You guys all do the whole best girl stuff, and this is a show that I have zero. That, not gonna lie, does not interest me in the slightest. All right. Um, Darren, you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are at the stage of. All right, it looks like my stuff reconnected and everything's fine. So now the real question is, what next?
What haven't we done next?
Um, because I got nothing.
Write that down. Angela is actually speechless.
Well, because Ross was going on about 100 girlfriends, and you went quiet, and that's not a show I've seen nor interests me. So I can't add anything to that conversation. So I don't know where to go from there. Because I think outside of Spy Family, none of us are watching anything in common again. But you said you were almost caught up with Spy Family. What are your thoughts on the season as a whole so far? All right. This might be a technical difficulties moment. Darren, I'm going to leave and come back. I don't know if you're there. I don't know if you can hear me. But I'm going to leave and come back because technical difficulties.
Sounds like interesting. Huh. Ange, did you go somewhere? Hello, Angela.
Okay.
And what was that about your computer working again?
It was working. My mouse and keyboard disconnected, and then I don't know what happened.
As I was stating, what was this about your computer again?
It's working now, apparently. Were you actually talking, or was it
Yeah,
just.
I was in bed where I normally am because I don't have a setup,
Yep.
and I was rambling on, and voila, no Angela. I'm like, okay, people out there in the wild. Hi.
Okay, I think it was you then because I didn't hear you at all to the point where I was questioning everything.
Pretty much. And on that, uh, while in the middle of bringing stuff back to the table, I want to take a moment and remind everybody that Anime-Zing Radio is brought to you tonight by Home Circle Media for all the latest and greatest anime gear, including pins, pencils, stationery, and officially licensed art books. Please check out homecirclemedia.com or look for Gavin and his crew at upcoming conventions. They are the best. I've bought several things from Gavin myself, so it's not just Doug. I believe I got a High School DxD notebook from him. Um, so yeah, he's well worth it. And also, please check out Casey Fox for all of your art court cosplay and commission needs on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, which
That
I still do not have. I still do not have a TikTok.
that actually surprises me.
I don't have an Instagram either.
That's less surprising. I just assume that all people younger than me have TikTok.
Nope, I don't like it because of its original intent as Chinese spyware.
That more than valid. Um,
I
and
will
from
settle, as much as I hate to admit it, I will settle for Facebook Reels.
Instagram was better before Facebook bought it.
Isn't that how things normally go for a lot of things? They're always better as their standalone companies.
Yep. Um, uh, that being said, I still use Instagram largely as a way to share pictures from when I'm out and about,
Or
or
when you're across continents.
that too. Um, though I did pleasantly surprised. Pleasantly surprised I was able to do a Facebook Live video from PAX Unplugged. Not sure how good the quality was, but my phone decided to cooperate long enough to get demo, a quick board game demo on video.
Hmm. Well,
And
and I heard that actually garnered quite a bit of interest.
yeah, no, I
More,
asked
more than you were expecting.
pretty much. I asked the people at the booth if they had a problem with me recording the demo. Everybody said no, that's fine. And the guy that created the game was like super excited and actually followed us, followed our page, and so yay.
One more subscriber in the book.
So I'll probably do stuff like that more often now that I know what I'm doing.
Wait, we know what we're doing.
We pretend to know what we're doing very well.
Okay, I do that every day at work. My employees are like, "How do you know how to do X, Y, and Z?" I'm like, "I don't, but I sure make it look like I do, right?"
Yeah, but fast food, as long as the customer gets their food and gets what they paid for, that's all that matters. How you
Not
get
really. No,
how,
it's really not. You haven't worked in my thing.
fair, but my point is you could pretend to get how you get there, you could pretend to know what you're doing and be perfectly fine.
True,
And Ross in the chat says, "Remember, amateurs are professionals and professionals are amateurs."
pretty much.
That 100% depends on the industry.
Yeah, I don't know how to cut grass. I just mow it.
And I'm just an administrative assistant who knows a little bit about a lot of things and has no qualms about telling the people I'm the administrator for, "Hey, these are the things you need to do. You still haven't done them."
Mm-hmm.
But,
The joys of working.
yep. But hey, we work so that in our free time we can do stuff like this where we talk about anime and video games for in front of a live audience for 2 hours a week.
Even if we don't get paid for it. Yeah,
Keyword yet.
one day. All we need is the right video topic for us to blow up, because I've seen it happen way too many times.
Yep. We'll get there maybe someday. Or maybe one of our controversial opinions will just blow up the internet. Or nonsense topics, says Ross. Ross, if you've got ideas for things you want us to talk about as far as like broad topics that we can ramble about, by all means, let us know. No promises, no promises on any semblance of sense, but hey.
We'll try. But really, um, so how was PAX?
I had a lot of fun. Um, I worked the I worked the info booth. So my job was to basically tell people how to get to what they wanted to see and lost and found. And then when I wasn't working, I was catching up with friends I never see, playing game demos and eating food because Philly's actually got some really good food.
Was it reasonable though?
Philly is far more reasonable than Boston as far as prices go.
Hmm.
Um, and John in the chat says My Hero Academia season 7 will air in the spring of 2024.
Woohoo!
Oh, really? Really? Now I need to check my anime list again because God. Okay, good. Okay, good. Spring of 2024 doesn't start until April, which means which means uh which means My Hero's not going to be added to the season. We have like 10 shows already picked out.
Hmm.
My Hero's one that I'm actually caught up on.
Wow. I stopped on season 4 and never looked back.
That's fair. I highly recommend the villain arc.
Oh, I know. If I were to watch anything, that would be the one arc I would watch.
Like, Doug and I have talked about this ad nauseum. I know he stopped watching it because he got effectively bored with it, and that's fair. And to those who say it's overrated, also fair.
It is.
But it's one I'm completely caught up with, so therefore I see no reason to stop watching it.
Hmm.
But
I was a completionist like you once.
just looking ahead, just while I got that up, uh, so also the first thing listed for spring 2024 is That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime season 3.
Hallelujah. Took way too long.
A new arc of Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia season 7,
Yeah,
Jo-
yeah,
Jobless Reincarnation season 2 part 2. Why? Why are we
yes.
doing this?
Because it is
No,
honestly one of the best isekai out there,
no, no,
period.
no. I'm not even talking about that. I this is me going on about the naming conventions. Season 2
Um,
part I'm it's more of a why are we doing season X part Y?
because why the hell not? Because
That just annoys me.
people don't understand what a core is. First core, second core. So I guess they just decided to go part one, part two.
Oh dear lord, what in the hell? And I'm leaving it at that cuz wow, the list for spring is actually surprisingly incomplete at this point.
Yep. Well, everyone's too busy focusing on the here and now and not really looking forward to the future.
Yep. This
Because
was
let's be fair, the studios are kind of overwhelmed at this point.
agreed. I also feel like there's all sorts of pressure for everybody to keep putting out new content. And Doug jumped into the chat to confirm what I just said. Glad you're enjoying My Hero Academia. I just got bored of the repetition. Uh, Ross and also apparently most of the anime from Hulu is now on Disney Plus. I don't know if you've experienced that. I haven't even looked at Disney Plus for anime
I,
beyond.
I don't use Disney Plus at all. In my opinion, Disney should never have gotten involved with anime. I think they should have marveled at the differences between the two and adjusted their own work accordingly, like Walt did in the past.
Uh, Star Wars Visions would be about the only specific thing I would argue with you about. I really enjoyed Star Wars Visions, but uh Astronaut, Doug said, or not Doug, Ross in the chat says, look up the anime on that list, Astronaut. That.
I believe that was one of the ones I had not seen.
Oh, okay. It's a comedy, romance, sci-fi, and it's no, 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 computer. All right. That honestly, that rom-coms I tend to be very hit or miss for me. So I don't know about that one. Um Ross also points out that Hulu is merging to the Disney Plus app. Wait, what?
Uh,
That's news to me.
in other words, enjoy it while you can.
Ay, ay, ay.
Every time a company buys something out, they take it over and then it's not as good as the previous company.
Agreed. Oh, all right. Doug, can you hear us? We have a random Doug.
Hmm. A wild duck appeared,
Oh, and he left.
just like in the safari zone. You didn't throw him enough bait.
Or more accurately, just way too much. All right. Well, I guess Doug disappeared again. I think he just had a really bad signal, internet really choppy. And that makes sense. But hey, why would we expect a night with no technical difficulties? And Doug says bad service in this area.
That's why I switched to Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah, I got nothing. So, while we're on the topic of conventions, who's looking at what conventions for next year at this point? Anybody?
What was the question?
Conventions for next year.
Anime-Zing, GalaxyCon, those are my two. I don't know. I haven't looked that far ahead into the future mostly because my work schedule is ever changing. My boss, for example, my boss made the schedule a month ahead of time. She had to make changes to it 2 weeks ago. Then she had to make changes to it this week, and had to make changes to it today even.
And Doug in the chat is saying he may have to use sick time for a con if he can make one at all.
Oh my!
And as for me, I don't know. I haven't actually started planning for next year yet. Cause we booked our we've got our flights for our next Japan trip. We've got our flights for our Japan trip booked, so 2 weeks in Japan. So I don't know how much. I don't know how much time I'm going to have for conventions or budget for that matter. And Doug in the chat is saying, unfortunately, with the new job, conventions might have to be put on hold for a bit. Period.
Well, at
And
least still he can build up his reputation and tenure and benefits and yeah.
exactly.
So fear not, people. He shall attend the convention with all of us at some point.
Yep. Or we'll just do a thing where we all go to the same place at the same time and do a live stream from a house or a hotel room, and you get to see all of us in person at once in the
Like
same
a
space.
like a Mr. Beast video.
I have not actually ever watched a Mr. Beast video, but sure.
Oh, I was telling Doug he recently did one in Japan. He rented out the entire amusement park for him and PewDiePie and met each other for the first time.
Well, Ross says he's got an anime festival coming up in February. That's pretty awesome.
Hmm.
Well, what we could do is find a midway point between all three of us and pick a day and actually meet in person. But,
Hmm.
I feel like at this age, conventions are just an excuse to meet up with people I don't see nearly often enough. But yeah. Because with job switching and other travel, I have not had as much time or money to devote to going to conventions. Because, yeah, as we were talking about earlier, the cost of travel has just gone way up. I don't know about where you are, but gas is still fairly expensive here. On top of that, looking at other costs associated with conventions, hotel prices have gone up as well. Darren, you still with us?
Hmm.
All right. Yeah, just with everything being expensive, I don't know what conventions I'm going to be able to hit up this year or next year rather. And Ross says all he can see, anime festival, not many guests. All he can see on the poster is uh, Ben Diskin, voice of Shoutman, Samantha Kelly, voice of Peach, the voice of Hawkmon, and Caitlin Glass. That's still not a bad lineup. But but yeah. I don't know, with all of the things, Darren, do you have anything else you want to touch on for the night? Because I'm at a point where I'm so far behind, I don't I don't necessarily have anything else really I can add to tonight. And the chat's got random things as always. Ross says, John Knight's pointing out we have 15 days till Christmas. On that note, as a friendly reminder, we will not be doing shows on We will not be doing shows on December the 24th or December the 31st due to holidays and quality time with family and loved ones and friends and whatnot. And Ross is pointing out that Snoop Dogg has a movie coming out in January. Seriously? Well, I suppose that makes. Ross, are you being serious? That sounds almost too ridiculous to be true. He's saying Snoop Dogg has a movie coming out in January called Underdogs. I am. Well, all right. This is a real thing. Uh, uh, on Amazon Prime in January. I suppose Snoop Dogg at this point can do whatever he wants. Um, Ross, I did not know anything about this until literally just now. But wow, it's actually been a quiet night. All things considered, a quiet night. Uh, on that note, given that, I think it is time to actually call it. Darren, unless you got anything to add, I am gonna. Ross says, changing the subject to Christmas. Did you ever see the movie? Did you ever see the movie, the Christmas movie? Wow, Violent Night. No, Ross, I've never actually seen that. That's another thing I know absolutely nothing about. And John in the chat says tomorrow is Lisa Ortiz's birthday, the voice of Amy Rose in Sonic, or the Sonic franchise, Sunny in One Piece Red, Ashawat in Pokemon, Burin in My Hero Academia, and Chopper in 4Kids dub of One Piece. I'll look into it, but Christmas time is actually fairly busy for me. And I'm guessing we lost Darren to technical difficulties. And Ross is also pointing out that Lisa Ortiz is Lena Inverse from Slayers. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. If you enjoy slapstick comedy, it's fantastic. If you don't, well, it's still a decent comedy Christmas movie. but I haven't actually seen it in a very long time. It was one of my family. It was one that my family always used to put on to the point where I kind of got tired of it because it was one that was watched all the time. And John Knight says Darren always asleep. No, I don't think he's asleep this time. He was talking quite a bit. I think this might be technical difficulties. And Ross, I have arguments with people about movies like The Nightmare Before Christmas or Die Hard being Christmas movies, even though they have nothing to do with the theme. Nightmare Before Christmas, I would argue, is more of a Halloween movie than a Christmas movie, but it's definitely also a Christmas movie. Die Hard, I know the argument, and I would argue just because the movie takes place on Christmas doesn't necessarily make it a Christmas movie because Christmas is not like it's not like Home Alone where Christmas is the point of the movie. And John Knight started typing out the lyrics to Silent Night, bringing in the Christmas music. So how about for the chat? What are people's plans for Christmas and New Year's? People plan on traveling, people plan on doing absolutely nothing. Do we have anyone so adamant against the holidays that they're doing absolutely nothing? And for responses, John says family and friends will come to their house for Christmas. Ross says going to visit nephew, niece, brother in law, and sister in North Carolina. For me, I got to see my mother for Thanksgiving, so Christmas I'm just going to end up doing the same thing. Christmas I'm going to end up spending the day with my husband's family like we usually do. And I did not know there was a Disney Christmas Day parade that was televised. John just shared that. Usually, like any other holidays with my in laws, the TV gets set to football, potentially hockey, but it's almost always sports ball of some variety. Yeah, I think we lost Darren to technical difficulties. And Doug's off working on the railroad. Yeah, Christmas for me is going to be a low key thing where my husband and I go spend the day with his parents, his parents, his brother and wife, and extended family in the area come over to visit. And then it's basically Thanksgiving dinner part two. And Ross is offering an explanation. Ross is offering an explanation for his earlier comment. Disney is wanting to get control the last part of the Hulu Disney bundle contract, so they're doing a beta of merging Hulu to the Disney Plus app. Um, what are you getting for Christmas, John? I don't know. We'll see. For a secret. For a Secret Santa that for one of my Facebook groups that was done a while ago, I got a Pikachu luggage tag, Pikachu, and a book all about travel. So very, very fitting. John, my anime list is constantly growing to the point where it's really, really hard to keep up with anything in a given season. Let alone anything I missed because there's a ton of stuff I've been saying I'll get back to it when I have time. What time? What free time? Darren, can you hear us? John says focusing on one anime at a time. That's one way to do it. Ross in the chat. As I told Doug and Darren last night, I will not buy anything from Crunchyroll for the first time until I get the last of my pre-orders from Right Stuff that I ordered back in September. That's fair. I haven't even looked, if I'm being honest, I haven't even looked at Crunchyroll's online store. So I don't know. But then again, figures and stuff, not necessarily a thing I collect. And Ross says the last item is Farming in Another World, won't release until December 19th, so until after Christmas or January for that. And John says next year, Discord, go away. Next year will mark the 5th anniversary of the Demon Slayer anime. And I'm still not caught up with Demon Slayer. I've watched what I've seen of Demon Slayer, I enjoyed. I'm very far behind and haven't had the time to actually watch any of that. That might be the show that I actually watch when I have some downtime. Or I say this and then I'll probably forget and find something new and different to watch. And my video game backlog is also high at this point because I haven't actually done any video games in a while either. But on that note, I know it's early, but I am Ross says general question for everybody. If you have an answer, favorite holiday season answer for the holiday season, favorite TV special or movie. I don't honestly know. I don't know that I have a favorite holiday movie. Like when I was a kid, we had this VHS tape of old stuff. John in the chat says favorite holiday TV special is the Disney Christmas Day Parade. Um, back like high school and college when I still watched cable TV, I used to love watching my favorite shows do Christmas episodes. Those were always really nice to watch. But now that I don't watch as much TV and I don't watch as much TV anymore. When I was real little, we had a VHS tape that had where my mom would record all the specials, and so it was full of 80s commercials. That was always fun. And Ross says when he was little, it was Frosty the Snowman or Grandma got run over by a reindeer. Favorite movie, Annabelle's Wish. New favorite, Violent Night. Frosty the Snowman was one of the shows on that VHS tape. It was that tape we had was Frosty the Snowman, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and uh, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. And going back as a being in college in the early to middle 2000s and watching this tape with all of the early 80s commercials, that's a trip. Uh, Next year will mark the 60th anniversary of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer Christmas special. Damn. Oy, oy, oy. Things got. I feel like I'm getting old. Ross, I got nothing else. You know what? I know it's still a little bit early, but I think I'm at the point where I can honestly say, until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, be safe, watch anime. And next week will be the last episode of Anime-Zing Radio for the year. and then 2 weeks off, and then we start again in January. So uh, in the meantime, for the week, if you guys think of anything, feel free to let us know so we can bring it up on the air for the end of the year. Have a good night, everybody.